my friends, old friends, new friends, welcome. I am so happy that you are here. I think it says so much about you. My name is Shannon Tripp, and I have been a pediatric ER nurse for 10 years now, and I'm also a mom to 4 little kids. And I spoke at the Mom Summit last year, and it was such an honor talking about slowing down and just kind of debunking this idea of hustle, 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 and just enjoying your babies. My experience in the ER has given me such a unique perspective that I have just felt so grateful to share with all you moms on social media. And today I want to talk about something even maybe a little bit bigger of a subject, and something that I know sits very heavy on a lot of your hearts. So I want to start by actually reading you a message that I just got today. Hi, I have a question. I wasn't sure who to ask or who to confide in that might either understand or have an answer, but then I thought of you. I've been seeing so many heartbreaking stories lately of people battling sickness, parents having to watch their babies fight for their lives while standing helpless by their sides, some losing their babies altogether. I know you have seen it all firsthand. Working in the medical field and having friends currently go through it, how do you handle it? I have 3 kids. I'm finding myself completely overwhelmed with fear and anxiety of the unknown that almost becomes crippling. The more stories I see, the worse my anxiety gets. I don't want to be the overprotective, paranoid mother, but seeing everyone else's heartbreak just makes me think of all the what ifs. How do you get past that? Do you have any advice on how to not let it pull you down? You guys, I so get it. I have seen some terrible, awful, gut-wrenching things in the ER. And then I have to walk out the doors and I go home to my own family and I have to be present and be happy and kind of like let all of that weight go and be there for them. So how do you do that? How do you navigate through that? I know I have a lot of nurses that'll be watching this, a lot of moms that'll be watching this. So if you struggle with this, I want to try to help you today because it's taken years of practice and experience, but I truly believe there is a way to not live in anxiety and fear and to kind of replace that with joy and confidence. So I'm going to give you some tools that have kind of become second nature to me after all of these years, but then kind of going back and really figuring out what I do to be able to handle this. I want to share this with you and hopefully it will bless your life. The first thing that I want to say, that I would say to anybody in my personal life, is I have gotten through so much because of my beliefs, and understanding that when bad things happen, it's not happening to bad people. It's not happening because someone needs to be taught a lesson. Bad things just happen, but we have somebody watching over us that loves us very, very much. In fact, I believe that our children are really not even ours. They're on loan to us. They're on loan to us to do the best that we possibly can to love and protect them and teach them while they're here. But they belong to someone who loves them much more than we ever could. So if something bad happens, they're going to a safe place and receiving so much more love, like I'm already getting emotional, than we could ever give them. And so that's really, really special. And I believe that to be true. Doesn't make it any easier. Doesn't make the heartache any less. But that's what I believe, and that's how I've been able to emotionally navigate through all of these things, because I have seen some very, very difficult things. Okay, moving on to some very tangible tips for you. The number one thing that I'm so excited to talk about is preparation. You guys know how passionate I am about teaching and educating moms, because I think there is this huge gap in education. I think we're handed this baby and nobody tells you what to do. You leave the hospital with this brand new baby that you love so much. I know, because I felt it too. And then you take it home, and what if it stops breathing? What if it vomits and starts choking? How do you know what to, like, if it starts having a seizure, if it falls and hits its head, if it spikes a fever? How do you know any of this? Well, thank heavens we have our intuition, and thank heavens we have moms and friends. But I think preparation and being prepared is huge in reducing anxiety and fear. And I know that, and I've heard that from you for so long now. So this whole past year, which don't worry, I have so many more tips, but this whole past year, I have spent so much time creating a course for you guys to hopefully relieve this anxiety and fear through preparation. So I'm going to take you through all these things that I've seen in the ER and seen at home kind of the most common illnesses and injuries and emergencies, and I'm going to teach you about them and educate you on them so that you can be as prepared as possible to handle these things if they arise, because preparation is key. We cannot control everything as moms. We cannot control anything as moms, but we can be prepared. And I hope that it gives you all the confidence in the world so that some of that anxiety is relieved. Because last year my son choked, and I remember thinking right after we got it out, it was terrible. He choked on this peppermint candy. He was 11 months old, pulled him out of his car seat, and I did what I was taught to do as an ER nurse. And I saw the peppermint candy fly across the floor, and I just remember his body going into mine, and I fell to the floor, and I was like, what if a mom wouldn't have known what to do? That was like immediately my first thought after I was like, thank you, my son is okay, is I thought, what if a mom wouldn't have known what to do? I could have lost my son. And choking continues to be one of the leading causes of death, but it doesn't have to be. We just don't know what to do when our child chokes, but we can. You don't have to be a nurse to know. You don't have to be a nurse to save your child's life. You don't have to be a nurse to take care of your sick kids when they get sick at home. I'm going to help you through all of that. So stay tuned and I'll talk to you more about that at the end. But I think preparation is huge. Know how to buckle your child into a car seat. Know what to look for if they hit their head. Know what to do what to watch for if they have a fever. Know what to do if they choke. Know how to administer CPR. Know how to do all of these things so that if it happens, you are prepared. My next tip that I want to give you is to fully embrace your mom instinct. I believe that we are given instincts that are so much more valuable than any scientific study, any book, any article. I think that they are smarter than any of that, and we just need to tap into them and trust them. I have seen so many moms bring their babies in and just say to me, I really have no idea why I'm here. I don't know what's wrong with them. I just know something is wrong. And sure enough, most of the time, those moms are right. So follow that instinct, because sometimes so much anxiety and fear is because of the unknown. And I think that's why we're given an instinct, a divine instinct that's connected to heaven, because we are the exact person that our babies need. And so trust your instinct. If it's ever telling you to do something, follow it. If it's telling you not to do something, follow it. I get so many questions about vaccines. I know that this is a hot topic and I'm not scared to talk about it, but I get so many questions about vaccines. There's so much fear around vaccines. And my answer all the time is, of course, do research, but there's like hot research on this side and hot research on this side. So how do you know? Fall back into your instinct. Are you driving to the doctor's office like, oh my gosh, I don't want him to get this shot. I'm an absolute mess because I'm so nervous about what this shot's going to do. Then turn your car around and go back home. Or are you like, I need to get into the doctor's office because I am so worried about whatever and I need him to get this immunization. Then get yourself to the doctor's office and get the immunization. Does that make sense? Tap into your instinct, because it kind of helps us steer and navigate through all of that anxiety that comes with just loving our little people so much. The next thing I want to talk about is maybe the most tangible piece of advice I can give you, and something that I continue to do on a regular basis. And that is to stay in your own reality. You guys, I have created crazy stories in my head that have nothing to do with my reality, but it all starts by one inaccurate or bad thought that goes to another and leads to another until you're finally to like, how in the world did I get to that awful ending? So we all do it. And I have found that the best thing to do as soon as you get that very first thought is to kind of like grab it and hold it captive and then just put it away and replace it with a thought of gratitude. So let me tell you a personal story. When my daughter was 4 years old, I had been working tons of shifts at the hospital that month. And in that time, we had diagnosed 3 different 4-year-olds with cancer. And one of the complaints was leg pain. Now, my child started to complain of leg pain. She looked okay, but she complained of leg pain. And she just didn't feel very good. And she just didn't really want to walk on it. She didn't hurt it, but she just kept complaining of leg pain. And one night I put her to bed after several days of complaining of it, and she's just not feeling very well. And I remember laying in bed right next to her, watching her breathe, and just thinking to myself, she has cancer. And I fully believed it. It was like a doctor had just told me that she has cancer. And I lost it. I was just bawling to my husband, like, I know she has it. And we're, thinking of like, how are we going to handle this? How are we going to do this? Oh my gosh, when am I going to take her to the doctor? How am I going to tell my family? You guys, I fully went outside of my reality and created this story of my daughter having cancer, all because of one thought that led to another, that led to another. And I just let it keep going. And I've thought about that a lot because it was excruciating. And I can't imagine if some of you might be dealing with that right now. The thought where it truly becomes like that sweet mom's message to me, debilitating and just so difficult to navigate through because the fear is so real about something bad happening, or your reality has become different than your own reality. So I would suggest taking a big deep breath and just grounding yourself right where you're at and taking that negative thought and replacing it with gratitude. So my daughter is healthy. She's sitting right next to me. She's breathing. She's warm. She's safe. She can walk. She doesn't have a fever. She doesn't have cancer. She doesn't have these things. She's actually sitting right next to me, perfectly healthy. I'm sure she's just growing, but it's hard. It's super hard to do that, and I get it. But replace that negative thought. Grab it and hold it captive. Put it in jail and replace it with a thought of gratitude. I am so thankful for her healthy body. I'm thankful for her legs that can walk. Tell yourself, fear, you do not own me. You cannot control my thoughts. Tell yourself that. Remind yourself how safe your babies are, how well prepared you are. I get so many messages from moms worried about something bad happening to their babies while they sleep. Remind yourself, I put them on their back. There's nothing in their crib. They're not by pillows. They're not by blankets. They're not sleeping with me in bed. They're safe. They're exactly where they need to be. Remind yourself, build yourself up that you do know what you're doing and that you are prepared and you're doing the best that you can. Replace all those negative thoughts with gratitude and remind yourself that fear is not going to win. And one of the last things I want to talk about is being mindful, just being present right where you're at. And this is something that has been a little bit more challenging for me because I'm a little bit scatterbrained and I think really fast about a lot of different things. So meditation has been something that I've had to really work on. And this kind of goes hand in hand, but I'm not talking about like sitting on the floor, crossing your legs and sitting in stillness. I'm talking about just wherever you're at, you are there. So let's just say you're at your baby's bedside. You're putting your baby to bed, they just fall asleep, and you stand up and leave the room, which is fine. I do it all the time. But sometimes I stay in there and I watch them sleep and I watch them breathe and I see their chest go up and down and I study them from head to toe and I'm there and I'm present and I have felt so much gratitude in that moment for what that moment is. And that might sound silly, like why does that even help? But I think the more opportunities we give ourselves to find gratitude in exactly where we're at, the more kind of confidence and power it gives us to keep going through hard things. Does that make sense? At least for me, it does. And I want to tell you a story about a mom who's touched my life forever, probably the experience within the hospital that has meant the very most to me. And that is when she lost her baby and she was holding it and I was the nurse and I just watched her. There's a lot to do after a child is lost, and I was just kind of cleaning up the room and helping her get comfortable with her baby in her last minutes. And I remember just watching her study her baby and truly like breathe her baby in. I've never seen anything like it before. I have never seen what it really truly meant to like breathe something in and just be so present in a moment. And she started at the top of her head and she just looked at her eyelashes and her lips and her nose and her little rolls in her neck and her skin, and she watched her belly and all the way down to her toes. She noticed every little thing on her child, and you could tell she was just like in that moment, just breathing her in. Oh, I have chills thinking about it because it was so special to me. And I think sometimes we get so busy, and sometimes anxiety and fear comes because we're so busy. We're so busy, and so then we think of something bad happening and we're like, oh, did I tell him I love him? Did I give him a kiss? Am I prepared enough? And we just start all these things in our head. But if we just take a minute to slow down and to be mindful and present wherever we are, to feel our feet on the ground, to feel our breath as we breathe, and to just watch our babies. All of those moments, it's like we're putting them all in our pockets and we're just taking everything we can in, because no time is ever guaranteed. Look at you guys. Can you see the chills? I just know this to be true. We are not guaranteed anything. So wherever you are right now, take a deep breath and be in it. Go hug the people that mean most to you. Find comfort in the fact that they know how loved they are. That has helped me through so much, is no matter what happens, my people are going to know that I loved them, and I love them very, very much. And I hope you find comfort in that. So find your belief. Find whatever you believe in and hold on to it. Be prepared. Educate yourself. I'm going to leave a code with you guys so that you guys watching this can get this, my course that I've created, at the cheapest price that it will ever be at, in hopes that it will bless your life. Because I know if you clicked on this and watched it, that you need it. And I promise that it will. Preparation is so important because we cannot control everything. Follow your instinct. It is such a gift. It is the greatest gift we've ever been given as mothers. And that's why we don't have a handbook, because we don't really need it. It's our instincts that should be our guide, because every child is different, every relationship different, every mother is different. Follow your instincts and then stay in your own reality. Wherever you are, stay right there. Don't let your mind take you off into these crazy places. Stay right where you are and replace that first thought of fear, that first thought of anxiety, with gratitude of where your reality is right now. And of course, be mindful. Be mindful as often as you can for all of these little moments, beautiful and difficult, that we get in motherhood, and breathe them in for what they are. And if you ever get to a point where it's just hard to cope, I have seen some terrible things and I can't get out of it. Talk about it with somebody. Talk about it with somebody who understands. Talk about it with a therapist. Seek help, because this fear and anxiety and these little kind of like walls that we have up around us, they can be broken down, and you guys can find joy and happiness and confidence in motherhood. That's how it was all meant to be. And in the grand scheme of things, this life is just a blink of an eye, and you deserve to be happy. Okay, I hope this was helpful, you guys.